Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to discuss the very recent news that Activision Blizzard has laid off, or for lack of a better term, fired around 190 employees, roughly about 2% of its workforce. And of course we're going to get into that in a moment. But first, as usual, I do want to remind you that I am trying to grow the channel and, get more eyes on my content. So if you want to help me do that, the easiest thing you can do is just leave a like, leave a comment, or if you think I've earned it, please do consider subscribing. I don't just cover news, I cover retro stuff and modern stuff, so there's probably something here you'll like. But with all that said, let's get into the actual topic of today, which is of course the firing of roughly 190 people by Activision Blizzard. The information I have here comes from an article written by none other than Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, who, I don't always agree with the things that he says, but generally he does some pretty good investigative journalistic work. He's usually far more reliable than a lot of other people in the industry, let's just put it that way. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he has to say, but still, credit where credit is due. I should also note that the article will be linked in the description below if you want to go and read it for yourself, but do be warned, the Bloomberg website is filled with ads and pop-ups and all sorts of things, so it's not the most pleasant experience, but it's there if you want to see it. So he reports that on the 16th of March, various people across various departments were fired from Activision Blizzard, including 50 employees who handled esports programming and other live events, and that these dismissals affected less than about 2% of the total workforce. He goes on to explain where these people were cut from and what sort of department they were in, but really it doesn't matter, they were cut, so I don't want to give anyone any ammunition to say, well, it was only this and it was only that. In my opinion, a company making the kind of money that they are should not be cutting anyone, but we'll get to that. He goes on to say that the US workers will receive a minimum of 90 days severance and health benefits for a year, as well as job transition support, whatever that is, and that they were also given a $200 gift card to Battle.net. And I've got to say that last part kind of seems more like a slap in the face than some sort of benefit for leaving the company. It's just, now buy our stuff from our website. It's like, why? Why would they want that? But, whatever, they got it. And of course the other stuff is good that they're giving it, the 90 days severance and the health benefits for a year, as well as whatever job transition support is supposed to be. But at the end of the day, they shouldn't have been fired anyway, and again we'll get to that. But it's the last part of this article that really gives me some sort of feeling of what the hell? Like that really confused kind of feeling, because according to Jason Schreier, Activision Blizzard gave an optimistic outlook for this year and next, and said it expects to hire 3,000 people in 2021. So help me understand this. Why would you bother laying off 190 people who now have to go look for other jobs in a, market that's frankly not got very many jobs in it, and put them through all kinds of stress and worries and all sorts of things like that just to go and hire 3,000 more people later in the year? I mean, I'm not in human resources, or, I'm not a boss of a large company, but forgive me for saying, could you not have just reorganized these 190 people into other departments or into other job roles? I'm sure there was something they could have done, right? It's not just me thinking that. I don't understand why they couldn't have just helped these people and put them into something else, or at least just said, look, you're going to have to go away for a little while, but you can come back in the hiring process that we do nearer the end of 2021 or something like that. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. And of course, that's not even mentioning the fact that Activision Blizzard had yet another record year of income. They have literally topped themselves, year after year, and they can't afford to keep 190 people around. I'm sorry, but it's just false. Like, I don't understand why they did it. There has to be some sort of internal reasoning, because I don't understand why they would drop them and then hire 3,000 more. Why? Again, I'm just going around in circles, but it's what my head's doing. My head is just telling me it doesn't make any sense. There must have been some sort of internal reason why these people went early. Could it have been perhaps to get some of the numbers down for, the end of the financial year in April? Could it have been something to do with that maybe? And then they'll hire them after April and then probably sack more people down the line. That's probably what they'll do. But it's just a really scummy move. And, I don't really want to hear anybody saying, well, it's only 190 people. Well, sure, okay, only 190 people. When you think of how many people they employ, and when you think of the world at large, 190 people is not a lot of people. I understand. But when you actually think about 190 individuals all in one big place, like imagine them all just standing outside in a group, right? It's a lot of people that now have to go look for another job. I mean, I don't know if there's anything stopping them from reapplying when they hire again, the new 3,000 people. I don't know if that's a possibility for them, but the fact that they would do this just seems to show how little they care nowadays. And I'm not oblivious to the fact that this is how it works in the working world. I completely understand that it's not up to a company to coddle people or to come to your desk and give you a hug when you're feeling down. Like, I understand, right? It's a professional working environment. I completely understand. But at the same time, all it would take is just that little bit of humanity, that little bit of care and attention to some of your employees, right? And it could make so many people's lives so much better. But as I've said to many people that I know in real life, there's so much red tape and clicks and quid pro quo situations when it comes to the working world. That is the issue. Say, for example, the person in charge of cutting these 190 people knew one of these or some of these people that were in the firing line personally. They're not going to get cut. And it's a bit of a cliche thing to say, but it's not what it's who you know. And then to sort of add insult to injury, giving them a Battle.net $200 gift card, it's one of those things where I feel like, was there no one having a conversation about this? And then someone spoke up and said, sir, I don't think that's a good idea. Won't that seem like a bit of a cheeky thing to give them? Don't you think we should perhaps do something else? And the boss there in his like $5,000 suit just saying, no, it'll be fine. It's all right. It's cool. They'll be all right, as he looks at his gold Rolex. I know I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but you understand what I mean, right? I don't expect them to come to my house when I'm ill and make me a bowl of soup and tell me everything's going to be okay. But if they just had an ounce of care, an ounce of how does this affect these people, then I believe that we could have a better system, frankly. I just don't understand why. Actually, that's a good point. I just thought, why isn't human resources in charge of making sure that these people are okay? Why is it something from above where it's like, oh, we need to meet these numbers, sack all these people, done? Why is it not that human resources can't say, well, no, we don't need to do that. We're already making record money. We don't need to sack these people. Look at the books. I don't get it. I frankly don't get it, and it's really disgusting to see it because everyone's thinking that Activision Blizzard is a really scummy company now. If you consider all that they've done, I mean, I'm not going to go into it all here, but if you look back over the last 3 years, they've been doing some real scummy things, and Blizzard themselves used to be a really well-respected company, and by me as well. I respected a lot of things they did, a lot of the games they made, and nowadays they just don't seem to care. They've gone that way of the corporation, and again, corporations exist to make money. I'm sure they do. Like, that's fine, whatever. They can make money. That's what corporations do. But at the same time, once a company gets to a certain size, this kind of thing happens where all the humanity gets lost. I've seen it happen myself. I've worked in a company where it was pretty small when I started, probably under 10 people, and it was really good. Everything was great. We were able to deal with all the customers. We were able to deal with everything going on. And then as the company grew and got more and more popular, corners started to be cut and my job started to be affected. And people would say, well, don't do that, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, no, I'm in charge of this. This is how I do it. And I'm doing it properly so that we don't have any screw ups, And eventually it got to a point where I just left because I was sick of it. And another point that I've said countless times is when something gets massively popular, or indeed in this case large like a company, it attracts all sorts of bad business. It just does, because it becomes something that then can make money. CEOs and all these massive Wall Street people were not I say massive Wall Street people like they're giants, you know what I mean though. Massively wealthy is what I should have said. Wall Street people who come along and they just jump into game companies. They don't give a crap about video games. They don't care about the players of the games. They don't care about the history of the games. They don't care about the characters. They don't care about the worlds that were created, right? They care about how much money can they get out of your wallet. And again, corporations do that. Companies need to make money, sure, but you can make money and still turn out a good product. It's like they're all snake oil salesmen and they're just like, yeah, here's a game for you. It's good, I promise. It's from that company you like. And then you play it and it's a pile of garbage and it's just nothing like what was advertised to you. A big example of this lately would be Cyberpunk, because as we all know, that company was pretty much heralded as the savior of the games industry. You know, they were pro-consumer. They wanted us to have the best deal we could. And then obviously they got really big. Suits got involved, executives got involved, and we ended up with the piece of crap that we got. So I think that just shows you exactly what happens. It's the same with Anthem. It's the same with all these failed games. Marvel's Avengers, you know, if they weren't so focused on prying our wallets open, they could actually make a good product. And the funny thing is, the money would follow. That's the really annoying thing that they can't seem to grasp. It's that build it and they will come kind of situation. You know, if you make a good video game, one that people want to come back to again and again and play, you know, all the time, and it's fun and engaging, people would be happy to buy some skins or buy some expansions, you know, all this kind of stuff, but they just can't seem to understand it. It's so weird. But then again, perhaps it's one of those things where if you were born into a relatively poor situation and you worked your way up to become a CEO of a game company, perhaps you'd understand this. But when you were born into money and then you're constantly always rich and jump into a CEO role in a games company, you're probably never going to understand what the end user wants, right? That just seems to sort of make sense to me. They lose their path, they lose their way, and all they care about is making money. It's the sad truth, but we could have both. We could. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the recent firings by Activision Blizzard. It's ridiculous, and I just hope they can get work anywhere else, and I wish them the best of luck. And as I said at the start of the video, if you want to help me out, all you have to do is leave a like or a dislike on the video. Perhaps you could leave a comment if you've got something to say, and also if you think I've deserved it, subscribing to the channel would be greatly appreciated. All that stuff just gets more eyes on my content, and it helps more than you could possibly know. But as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.